If leadership feels heavier than it used to, you're not imagining it. You're not doing more work, you're carrying more emotion. And the emotional weight of leadership can be exhausting. It's the emotional labor nobody warned you about before you stepped into being a leader of other people. Friend, you're not tired because you work too much. You're tired because you absorb too much. Time to stop being the human sponge that absorbs everything around you. And it's time to actually name the hidden load that you've been carrying. Because leaders are now expected to regulate everyone else's emotions, absorb their anxiety, predict it, translate uncertainty, communicate it out, up and down, staying calm in the process while being blamed because of how other people are feeling in the environment. And no one taught you as a human being how to do the human doing side of leadership. Most people don't go in to a leadership role knowing how to do the people, let alone do themselves very well, taking care of their own emotional load. Emotional labor is not invisible. It's just unpaid. And what you're doing is a mighty toll of emotional labor in the workplace. And it has a human cost. There's decision fatigue that comes with it, shorter patience, right? Your tension is higher. You have avoidance. You're wearing the avoider hat, conflict or otherwise, and it's masquerading as empathy. If I just avoid it, I'm being empathetic. I'm just letting them have their space. No, it doesn't work like that. Emotional leakage into leadership sets the tone for you and for others. And when leaders carry emotions that they don't own, clarity collapses. When leaders carry emotions that are not theirs to carry, self-confidence collapses and exhaustion sets in, and it consumes us in our thought life. And I bet if you were to replay the conversation you had with yourself on the way into the office today, you probably would actually start to expose. If you were to replay it for me, I'll say that. I would help you expose where you're carrying an emotional load for the others, not taking care of yourself. So it's time for a boundary reset. Leadership is not emotional storage units. You having the office does not mean people get to bring in their emotional baggage to you and leave it. Empathy does not equal emotional adoption. I'm not going to adopt or take on the emotions of others who are not self-regulating and self-managing healthy. Compassion without containment drains authority. Gonna say that again for someone in the back that needs to hear it. Compassion without containment drains your authority. So there is a way to show compassion and be empathetic without taking it on and owning it. And it's time you learned how to do that. Self-command before team command. You've heard me say it before. Lead yourself well before you lead others. That's what self-command looks like. I am in command of my emotions. I am responsible for my reactions. I am responsible for how I'm feeling, and I'm responsible to communicate what that is and what that looks like if I need, want, desire a change on the other side. Boundaries are leadership infrastructure essentials. Boundaries are leadership infrastructure essentials. And that's what lead yourself well, or self-command, as I'm calling it, self-command actually looks like before you get in to lead a team. because leadership isn't about carrying everything for everyone else. It's about holding a line, drawing the line, setting the boundary, setting the expectations, telling people what those are, drawing it out if you need to. I was preparing for this episode, and for those that have been listening to me or following me for any length of time, I love a good box of 64 crayons, and I love to talk about, if you're stuck on ideas, pull out the box of 64 crayons and let's draw something new together. Why is that important? Because sometimes we get stuck in our own limiting beliefs and our own limiting thought patterns around who we are, how we are, what other people see us as. And we don't have boundaries that are healthy set in place, and bringing in creative ways to disrupt that help us to expose it, which I do agree with. However, in this case, friends, I actually want you to throw out the 64 crayons because they might be overused right now, because they've shown up as everybody else's emotions that you've been carrying around, and that's not leadership. Drawing the line and the boundaries around what your expectations are is. And it's okay for people to have sadness or frustration or bring emotions in, have emotions in the workplace, as long as they're not bringing in the outside emotions. Now, sometimes they show up, and yes, you don't have to take that on for people, but you're going to hold the line that you expect them to be adults working healthy in the workplace and manage that for themselves. And if they need a timeout, they need a personal day, they need to go get on a phone call with their therapist, then you're going to relieve them to do that with the accountability of the work that's going to be done on the backside and the by when to follow it. That's actually drawing a healthy line, allowing people to be in the space that they've created for themselves with their own emotions without you adopting it, taking on, and trying to fix it. And that's really what I'm saying here. Because if we aren't going to take the time, if we choose not to take the time to set the boundaries in place on emotions in the workplace, you're actually not leading in that moment. Leadership should not require permission for boundaries. If it does, then you have a broken system. And the emotional labor that nobody warned you about is taking on too much for others instead of drawing boundaries around it. It's not about the more work. It's not about the heavier lift of the project. It's about carrying more emotion. And you get to decide to stop that today. You get to decide to draw the boundary of what's healthy and what's not. And you're not responsible for regulating everybody else's emotions. I'm going to remind you of that, but you're also not responsible for absorbing them either. All right. I actually want you to start translating things in a different way, staying calm in the process, but translating them in a different way so that you don't get stuck. You don't get caught up in the battle line of someone else's emotional war game that they're bringing into the workplace. All right. You have the ability to do that every single time you enter the office, because just as this title goes, the emotional labor nobody warned leaders about, I'm warning you now. I'm giving you the plan now of how you draw that line and those boundaries. Command, self-command, right? Self-direct, self-lead well first, and then step into leading the others. That will also help you to see where other people are bringing emotional baggage into the workplace, and it's becoming a bit of abusive environments, to be honest. Listen, friends, I'm grateful that you take time every week to step into the sandbox, because I know that leadership isn't something that you're born with. It's something that you grow into. And I know that you took time to grow into your next level of leadership today in the sandbox. And I want you to take a minute and subscribe where you listen. But I also want you to think about that leader that's emotionally drained in the workplace and share this episode with them. Give them the tools that you're gaining in the sandbox. Share them with them, because it's really about the tide raising all ships in the harbor together, because we're getting healthy. We're getting decisive. We're learning to command ourselves well first, right? That's important. And emotional baggage is somebody else's. It's not yours. So remember, you're not tired because you work too much. You're most likely tired because you absorb too many emotions. And we're going to change that today. Thanks for stepping into the sandbox. Thanks for taking a moment of your time to share it with me. And I'll see you next week in the Leadership Sandbox. Make it a great day, and God bless you.